connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Sports Arena on a Wednesday night. I'm your man, Eric Wilson, and we got a jam-packed show, so we ain't going to waste no time here tonight. We've got a lot to talk about and also a lot to get to. So let me go ahead and welcome in the crew and, of course, our special guest returning back to the Sports Arena. But as always, I got to get my man, sports reporter without pay. My brother Ray Lynn is in the building. Believe in the Pac-12 podcast, Mr. Michael Carrot-Tenuto. And Lord have mercy, John Shear is in the building. Yes,
Does
John.
Does that say 2-0? Does that say
yes,
16 point what? Is it?
Yes, John.
Eric Wilson?
We see that. John Shear. Oh, and you're wearing the jersey, too.
Oh, yeah.
And you're wearing the jersey.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
Of course.
Okay.
Had to make sure
Thank God you're only on for a few minutes tonight because I'm not keeping you long because I'm not going to try to listen to your mouth. But aside from all that, we have got a very special guest joining us. This brother has been a part of the journey of the Sports Arena since its inception. He has been a pivotal piece of the team, and he has moved on to such bigger and better things that whenever we get the opportunity to welcome him back to the family, we do it with a gracious heart, and we love having him back. This is the WGEM weekend sports anchor. This is our man. Jake Rongholt is back in the building, baby. Jake, it is so good to see you, my brother. How are you? How have you been? How's Illinois? What's up, man?
Man, it's great to be back here on the Sports Arena. I missed you and Michael, of course. I go back to the times when we were doing it with Ruth, and of course, we all know who else as well. But it's good. It's good. It really takes a lot out of you, honestly. This is my time off right now, so I'm just starting to get back my bearings here and all that kind of stuff. But I love my job. We cover so much. We covered so much in Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. It's why we're the tri-state sports leader. And we just got word that we won some awards with the IBCA, and we took third place in the Sports Extra that I was a part of with our sports director, Tony Cornish Jr., and my other reporter, Brendan Reedy. So we got that as well. We took second place in play-by-play for basketball during the season as well. So yeah, it's great. And we just got word that we won a whole bunch also with the NBA down in Missouri. So I will have more information on that as soon as we get it. But I love being part of WGEM. It's fantastic. They treat you like family over there. And I love the grind. So I'm so glad to be part of this business.
Man, you look good. I just got to say, for a guy who's been traveling and doing stuff, brother, you look good. That's got to be because of Stephanie. That's all I'm going to say. I think
it's right. It's Stephanie and a very good hairstylist here in town that has really helped me out here. So there you go. No more of this like hair to this side, hair to this side. No, this is slick back, baby. I'm ready to do Mike Greenberg style stuff.
Eric, don't forget the makeup artist too.
The makeup artist that's me, actually. That's me that put on my own powder and all that kind of stuff. So
all I'm gonna say is, Mike, the two of us still look better than you, so it's okay. Anyhow, let's get to tonight's matchup, which unfortunately I was wrong. I'll be the first one to admit it before anybody else says anything. A la
Just
John
gotta
Shear.
stretch.
Yeah, okay. That's why you're only
really
here for 10
gotta do
minutes.
this.
John Shear, Miami Heat are up 2-0. Now listen, yes, back in March, I was the guy screaming from the rafters. Philly is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Book it, people. And I'm not going to sit here and say that one man doesn't make a difference. But I'm going to pull a Mike Caratanudo and say one man truly does make a difference. Because I'll be, to watch my Sixers just, with the exception of Tyrese Maxey tonight, shout out to him having a phenomenal game. I'm still asking the question, where is Danny Green at? You know, DeAndre Jordan, what happened to him? Like, this team, I did not realize the significance, the true power that is Joel Embiid. I saw it, but I always said you had to have complementary pieces. Ain't no compliments to this one. Goodness gracious. So, John Shear, take your moment, stretch your stuff, talk your talk. You're up 2-0, but you got to come to Philly, and we'll see what happens on Friday. But for this moment and for this time, sir, I'm going to give you the floor.
Well, first of all, I mean, Aaron Rodgers needs to take a lesson in winning awards. He should take that from Jake. So that's the first things first. I need to make sure I get that out of the way. I tried telling you before that you just don't have the depth. You have a couple pieces, which are nice pieces. I got to give you your credit. But the depth just isn't there. Look at your bench, and it's a joke. I mean, nobody did anything on your bench. There's nothing there. You got starters, and that's it. The Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns are the teams that have all the depth in the world. That's why these teams are the number one seeds in their conferences, is because of the depth. Sixers don't have that. And then James Harden is shooting less shots than, Tobias Harris and Maxey. Like, James Harden should be shooting the most shots without Joel Embiid there. And he's not doing that. Yeah, Forkmaz, or however you say that guy's name, like jacking up threes all night. And I'm like, sure, go ahead. Shoot all the shots you want. We don't care about you. All we care about is having James Harden and Maxey. That's it. We don't care about who shoots on the bench.
John, formulate your lips and say it right.
Stick a fork in the Sixers, they're done. That's all. Okay. Who cares? He doesn't matter. Hey, get that guy out.
All right. You already in timeout. See, I knew this was going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the rest of the show this evening. Just want to let you know, but I had to give John his moment. Anything else before you go, John?
16-point win in Miami. The best team in the NBA, the deepest team in the NBA. I mean, I tried telling you guys, there's just nobody that has this depth.
Please let me address him before he leaves. Let me address him.
Please bring it on, Raylan, because there's
you're
only
talking
one team.
ridiculous.
There's only one team up 2-0 in the second round right now,
They're supposed to be up 2-0. Joel Embiid's not playing. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you can say what you want to say about, like, he doesn't matter. This is the guy that might win MVP this year. What would Milwaukee look like without Giannis?
Jokic could have won MVP, and where's he at?
Yeah, but we're not talking about Jokic. We're talking about Joel Embiid, and he's not playing. As a matter of fact, what do you think would have happened to Denver if Jokic didn't play the first round? They'd have lost in 3.
It'd be in the same place they're in now.
They wouldn't even play the 4th game. Exactly. So don't sit here and be like, oh, they don't have the depth. Their bench is like, they're losing without a top 3 player in the NBA. And then you're like, that's why we're the number 1 seed and they're not. Y'all won 53 games and they won 51. What are you talking
54,
about?
Get it right, yes.
No, I'm just looking at the standings. Y'all won 53 and they won 51, right?
So
that you making it like y'all were so much better than them throughout the season.
I tried to tell you the depth.
But you weren't.
The depth.
But you're
telling me that the Sixers live and die by Joel Embiid. We don't live and die by anybody. We are we're up and down the roster. We can just everybody contribute.
What I'm saying is, like, when we talk about Philly as if this series is very telling, nobody can look at this series and say, I told you so, because when whoever told whoever so, they told you so based on Joel Embiid being the centerpiece of it all. Mid-season, he hit a whole nother level and was playing like MVP. When he started playing well, Philly started climbing the standings. You take a guy who's arguably played better than anybody in the league this year, right? It's him, it's Jokic, and it's Giannis. That's it. You take him out of the equation and then go, see, I told you so. Well, of course you told us so. Eric said, I thought we had complimentary pieces, but we ain't got no compliments. Complimentary pieces do what? They complement. They complement the main. If I give you a plate of mashed potatoes and green beans, it's all right, but you throw some steak in the middle and now you got a meal. Ain't no steak, bruh. They playing with mashed potatoes and green beans. That's what they playing with.
Beans.
I'm just saying, there's no Joel Embiid. That makes a difference.
You're the same guy after James Harden beat the Knicks twice and went off on the Knicks 2 times in a row, and you're like, "Oh, see, James Harden, this is the guy you got to trade for."
Okay.
This is the guy you
listen.
get.
Hold on. No.
James, telling
listen.
you
This version of
James
Harden. This version of James Harden is very good next to Joel Embiid. Like, what we talking like that doesn't matter. This isn't worth a conversation. It's Joel Embiid.
I want to coach against John. I want to coach and be a GM against John.
John, much love to you. Thank you for your time this evening. Have a great night. I will holler at you later. All right.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
So, Jake, Mike, since Ray Lynn has said his piece, and I have very little to say about my team except Danny Green, I'm still putting an APB out on you because I haven't seen you, and I need you to step up and do something. And again, I know I see you shaking your head, Ray Lynn, but this is a guy who for the last 2 games just has not shown up. And I'm like, you're supposed to be, a better than average shooter. And I mean, you can't.
He always shows up for the playoffs. It's not like Danny Green
ain't showing up for these first 2 games.
James Harden doesn't show up in the playoffs. That's the biggest problem. He's been doing this since he was at Oklahoma City. Do we not remember what he did at Houston? I love it how everybody continues to say that Daryl Morey is this amazing, colossal, stupendous general manager when he knows that James Harden, he basically tried to gain like an extra 20 pounds just to get out of Houston. Then he goes to Brooklyn, does some good things, falls apart in the playoffs per usual. And then he's doing it again. I mean, he was 6 for 15 tonight, 20 points. And then this bench was no help. They had 19 at that. You can't win like that. Bam Adebayo was at 23 points. But look at this. 14 for Tyler Hero. And Victor Oladipo, 18 points. That's how you're going to win. Bench help is very important right now in this series. And if Philly doesn't have it without Joel Embiid, this is a problem right now. And I'm looking right at Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers on this one. So I don't think Miami is still the best team. I think it's Boston, honestly, because when you come back like you did against Milwaukee, you go from 33 points with the Jalen's, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. When you get that, and then you go 59 combined in game 2, this is a hell of a team. And I also love that they talk about defense. That's why I like Ime Udoka, because he is an old school defensive mind. And this is what has been sorely been missing in the NBA for a while. And I am all in on this right now. So I'm not buying Philly. I'm not buying Boston. I'm not buying Miami. I'm buying Boston.
Mike, go ahead.
Jake, come on. Look,
hello.
Danny Green does show up in the playoffs because that's one thing he's always
Danny
been.
Green does show
to Ray Lynn's point, a very good complimentary player. So yes, to Eric's point on that, I would expect a little more from him. But yeah, John's out of his mind. And like I said, I would love to.
He's a Heat fan. What do you expect?
Be a GM against him. No, he does it all the time, though. Like Joel Embiid not playing is the huge thing. But what's the oldest freaking adage in the playoffs? The series doesn't start until the road team wins a game. So all Miami did was defend their home court. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm Joel Embiid. I'm guessing from everything I've seen, Eric, and it's leaning that way, should be back for game 3. He comes back for game 3 and gets to punch Bam Adebayo around a little bit. It's going to be a little bit different. That's why I said you miss that presence in the middle. You know what we all know what he is to the team. So yes, Harden as a facilitator, and I said it last year in Brooklyn when they actually played together, and Kyrie, all that stuff. Oh, he not being a point guard. Harden just came in and said, fine, I'll facilitate. And we saw what he did. And this version of Harden, Raylan stole the words from my mouth, is perfect for what the Sixers need with Joel Embiid. When you have a guy like Maxey, obviously they can shoot the ball. If you get a guy like Danny Green and Thibault, sorry, I don't want to forget about him either. So you have complementary dudes there, and you can definitely beat this Heat team. So, John wants to talk about a 50-win team. I'm gonna stick it to John, Eric. I'm not bringing it back to my team. Just saying 64 is more than 53. All I gotta say. But to your point, Philly's still fine, because I don't see them going back to Philly with those fans in that arena, which I have seen a few Sixers games in my day when the Nets were terrible. But with those fans in that arena, I say I say they defend their home court well too.
All right, Raylan, you've been patiently waiting to spew some knowledge here, sir.
Because I don't like, sometimes the media tell us stuff and then we run with it. Like, for instance, the media told us that this era was soft and the old days was physical, and everybody runs with it. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Like, everybody be like, they were so physical, we put you on your butt. Then you go look at all these highlights of Michael Jordan. He just roamed around, flying through the hole, doing what he wanted to do. He wasn't getting put on. So, like, they lie about it and we run with it. So, like, the media told y'all that this guy doesn't show up in the playoffs. And in Houston, 26-7-6, 27-6-5, 27-8-6, 27-8-5, 29-9-6, 29-7-5, 32-7-7, 38-6. Those are James Harden playoff runs in his entire time in Houston. A 28-7-6 guy, and people will go, he doesn't show up in the playoffs. Who made this lie up and everybody just agreed with it? We're talking about a 7-8 year run of consistently putting up 27-7-6, 28-7-6, 36-5. Like, and everybody go, oh, Harden. We know Harden don't show up in the playoffs. He
doesn't show up in the clutch games. That's the problem. He doesn't show up in like Game 6 or Game 7. Did we not see what happened with the Warriors and the Rockets? Everybody was excited for this game. And James Harden decides, I'm not going to show up in Game 7, and that's how the Warriors got to there instead of the Rockets now.
Let me ask this question.
James Harden shows up in the first 4 games. This is not something that we are used to, though. In the first 2 games, he's already struggling. 14 points in the first game, game,
like
20 points.
But James Harden right now, James Harden right now is a shell of him. So, like, he's been this way since he got traded. Like, he's not even – so I don't even expect – like, I'm talking about the narrative that he doesn't show up, right? And then you go, Harden didn't do this and Harden didn't do that in Houston. Tell me one playoff series James Harden lost that he was supposed to win.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Is my headphones working?
You're preaching.
Yeah, we got you. We heard you.
Because nobody said nothing.
You're preaching to the choir here because
right. Like, what do we get this stuff for?
But I just got to remind myself, this is how many rings he has.
You mean the same number as Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller,
Patrick Ewing,
Elgin Baylor, Allen Iverson,
Carmelo
Anthony,
played the Bulls,
Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard.
Get out of here with this.
We can run down the list of great players who don't have rings. Chris Paul still don't have a ring. Steve Nash don't have a ring. Like, we can do this all day.
It'd be nice if Chris Paul had a ring.
He won't get one this year. Never mind. Move on, Eric. Move on, Eric.
Okay, John. Whatever you say.
I like Ray. I like him.
Hey, no, but Eric, I will say this about what you said about Danny Green, right? Role players like himself, right? 3-and-D guys, they're brought in to create space and defend and knock down shots. But when you take away the guy that they're creating spacing for, right? Like, Brook Lopez is only a formidable player because Milwaukee's offense needs a 7-footer who plays center but can space the floor because Giannis needs to roam the paint, right? You take Giannis off the floor and Brook Lopez loses a whole lot of value. A lot of players are like that. And Philly basically built their team initially around their 2 stars, which was supposed to be Embiid and Simmons, right? And then they found a young stud in Maxey. Can't nobody expect him to be this good, this fast, right? The rest of those guys are supposed to be just compliments. But when you take the centerpiece away, right? When you take the guy that makes it all work away, everything else just kind of fall apart. Like, y'all don't have another guy that you can go in the second round. Maybe in the first round you could get away with it. But in the second round, where we all talked about how deep the East was this year, when you lose the guy that I had on my ballot as the MVP, not like I'm nobody special and I did a formal one, but in my opinion was the MVP, you take him away. Hell, I'm surprised Philly are actually in these games. So all you can hope for as a fan is, man, Embiid's come back to Game 3 and we make this a series. But without him, with no Embiid, what's happening is supposed to happen. Because if it's not, then he's not as valuable as we say.
Okay, so let me take the media side out of it. Let me take the journalist side out of it. And let me be a true fan for a moment, okay? This is my problem. My problem is, as a fan, I just expect, I guess, more than what I have seen that has translated on the court. I expect more from Green. I expect more from Maxey. Well, I can't expect more from Maxey because Maxey is doing his thing. This was the guy when they did play Miami, and Miami was at full strength, but we had no Embiid and no Harden. Tyrese Maxey put it on his back and said, I'm going to get a W. And he did that. So I that was the level. That was the bar for me, saying you did it once, now do it in the playoffs. We talk about consistency. Be consistent. Tyrese Maxey was that. But for Danny Green not to show up, you know what I'm saying? James Harden, I mean, how do you miss the end of the third and the beginning of the fourth? How do you not pay attention to the shot clock? 2 back-to-back shot clock violations. Come on, man. That's just laziness. And as a fan, not as a journalist, not as a media guy, as a fan, I'm like, are y'all kidding me? Y'all had time to fix that, and you couldn't correct that simple, minute thing. You shouldn't have won that game tonight. So let's see what happens on Friday. I pray, sweet black baby Jesus, that Joel Embiid comes back so that we can see what this man is capable of for game 3, because I hope it is a series. But we're going to take a real quick break. We're going to come back, and we are going to transition to the NFL because, yeah, I was at the draft last week, and I want to get everybody's thoughts on, some grades. And then I got a very interesting question I want to talk to y'all about. More with the crew and, of course, our special guest, WGEM Sports Weekend anchor Jake Rongholt, member of the family, back in the building. Sports Arena in a moment.
Connecting your brain and body.
And welcome back to the Sports Arena. Me and Eric Wilson alongside Mike Harrison, Ray Lynn, and as always, our special guest back in the building, WGEM Sports Weekend anchor, my man, Big Rongholt, joining us. All right, gentlemen, let's transition to the NFL because we never had our opportunity to give our thoughts on how we graded this year's NFL draft. And we can start with our own teams if we want to, but I think we should show a little love, first and foremost, to the teams that maybe surprised us, if you will. So, gentlemen, if you don't mind, and I'm going to start with you, Ray Lynn. Give me a team that you thought either A, did better than anticipated, or B, didn't do so great. You're muted, sir.
Uh-oh, speak.
I'm good. I'm good. I had muted it when you was talking earlier. Listen, hey, I know you said don't talk about our teams, but listen. We have a history of screwing it up in the draft. Like, at one point, man.
Who is your team, right?
Hey, man. Do it again.
Detroit.
Damn.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, Jacksonville did it for us, right? They made it impossible for us to pass on the hometown kid, right? Like a guy who, for most of the year, looked like the best defensive player in football. And he's a playmaker and he has that it factor. And you go, man, if they take him first, then the Lions have the opportunity to screw it up. But when they didn't take him, we had no choice. But then we made a move late. We made some trades. Like we actually acted like a team that wants to win for the first time in a very long time. But if I'm not being a homer, if I was given an A+ grade to anybody in the draft, it would have to be the Jets. It would have to be the Jets, man. They were on fire. I mean, it's crazy they did all that to finish no better than third in their division, but still, the Jets did an outstanding job in the draft. So besides my team getting who I thought was the best player in the draft, and we stole him with the second pick, I would have to give the Jets an A+. And I think Pittsburgh made the reach of the draft if we want to go there later.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. But Jake, in your opinion, outside of your Green Bay Packers, sir, it's so funny. We have 2 NFC North guys and 2 NFC East guys in the building tonight. Who do you think, made an impact or didn't make an impact?
Well, first off, I think Jacksonville had a horrendous draft. They took the wrong guy right out the gate, so that was a problem. But the Detroit Lions, Look, I'm not gonna lie. The Detroit Lions had a terrific draft. I mean, man, I just said to myself, they get Aiden Hutchinson, and watch out. This is something that I was expecting from Brad Holmes, because this was the vice president of player personnel. He had some top tier talent when he was at Los Angeles, and now he's planning on doing this with Detroit. He goes and get Aiden Hutchinson, and then he trades up with the Minnesota Vikings to get Jameson Williams, who had 16 touchdowns last year and almost 1,600 yards receiving. I mean, you go out and get an Alabama kid to go with Amon-Ra. What was that kid's name? Amon-Ra Brown from USC.
St. Brown.
Now you got him, you got Williams, you got Hawkinson. Now you got something building with this team. And not just that, though. Aiden Hutchinson had 15 sacks last year. And he was one of the reasons Ohio State could not get their offense started up, because he kept making C.J. Stroud's life a living, you know what, in the backfield. He could not get comfortable. He could not get straightened out with it. And this is what you're seeing right now with Hutchinson. Then Josh Paschal from Kentucky. I remember watching that Kentucky-Florida game, and I kept screaming, and I kept saying to myself, this Kentucky defense is for real. And it's because of that kid. So now you got him, you got Hutchinson, you're building up this defense, you got some building blocks, and you got a wide receiver that's not named Amon-Ra St. Brown that is, going to save the day here. So I actually think Detroit had a really good draft. And you talk about the Jets too. Yes, definitely. But I also think the Steelers did too, not because of Kenny Pickett, but I think because in day 3, they really dove in. They got some defense. They got some offensive linemen they needed. They were able to get James Daniels from the Chicago Bears, so that really helped them. And then also the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know how many times I have to say this about the Baltimore Ravens, but they are one of the best. They are one of the best in the draft. You go out and you get David Ojabo, and we know he's going to be a star when he comes back, because that guy just has a relentless motor. This guy is a piece of work. I can't wait to see what he does in this. And then they go out, they get Marcus Williams, they go get Kyle Hamilton, and I lost my mind. Eric knows this because Stephanie is a Ravens fan. I said right out the gate, if they get Kyle Hamilton, you're not just getting a safety. You're getting a safety, you're getting a linebacker, you're getting a pass rusher, and that is exactly what they're getting right now with this team. So I'm excited to see what, Detroit and Baltimore all can do here. So that's what I'm saying. And I didn't even have to talk about my Packers.
All right, Mike Caratenuto, take your moment. Talk about whatever
Mike.
You want to talk
about.
Nice to see you again. I'm curious to see your assessment of the draft.
Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, I gotta go. I mean, Ray Lynn and I were so happy on draft. He's like, the Jacksonville's gonna make the Lions draft pick for him. Yep. And they did. And I like to pick a Hutchinson. I would say the Lions are definitely in my top 4. Plus, in their 7th round pick, baby, forks up. They got a phenomenal DB, Mr. Chase Lucas, out of Arizona State. But no, overall, to trade back up, what's that?
And James Houston from Jackson State.
Yeah, but to trade back up, and you trade back up and you get a receiver who, tore his ACL, but that's fine. He's, week 5, week 6, doesn't matter. Like, they addressed a lot. So I've definitely put the Lions there. I put the Ravens right there too, because Kyle Hamilton, to me, you get a 6'5" safety that's got that range, and when you get to see Notre Dame all the time, they're right there. But, dude, the 2 best picks of the draft, in my opinion, they have multiple picks. The Jets are there too, but the Giants get Thibodeau, and then they take the best offensive lineman in the draft in Evan Neal. Like, I hate to say it, Eric, obviously, but you got a phenomenal pass rusher that when Raylan and I draft night, people saw us talking about, like, he's had the spotlight on him since the second he walked into Oregon as a freshman. And yes, I love everything Aiden Hutchinson did. I think he is a phenomenal pass rusher. He didn't have the spotlight on him the whole time like Thibodeau, who got picked apart anyway. But you get Evan Neal sitting there. And what's the one thing, Eric, you and I know about the Giants? Their offensive line is junk. And we love that when we play them, because we know we just have to get a few points. And
that's all because of Dave Gettleman.
And then just get to the quarterback. Absolutely. But look, I love Thibodeau. I love Evan Neal. I love what the Giants did. But the Ravens getting Kyle Hamilton, I mean, that's just kind of and again, it's not even because I'm here, but Eric, it's like when Isaiah Simmons slipped to the Cardinals. Like, his rookie year, okay, a little bumpy. But last year, I mean, we saw Vance Joseph saw how you need to use Isaiah Simmons. And Kyle Hamilton's not the same player. I'm just saying, as a safety, dude, that's sick. You get a 6'5" safety that can actually close, and then, like Jake said, come up and hit. Like, why is it the Ravens defensively just get every guy, and you're like, dude, there's 13 other teams that could have just snaked them away from the Ravens, like right there. But before that, yeah, man. But come on, man. I gotta make my mom happy before Mother's Day. We all know the Jets. I mean, you trade back in to get and Ray and I were talking about the defense, the kid from Florida State, man. I'm like, dude, this kid might be undersized. Yeah, but his speed is sick. Like, I saw him play, and I'm like, I know Florida State struggled, but when you watch their defense, like, dudes weren't blocking him too well. He might have to become a better run defender, but if it's 3rd and long, your quarterback's dead. So, I mean, look, the Jets and the Lions are no more at the bottom of the barrel. That's all I'm going to say, Eric. They are not there.
Okay. I mean, and that's fair. So, I'm going to be as unbiased as humanly possible. Psych. No, I'm not.
And talk about Philly.
I was getting ready to say, y'all lost y'all mind. If y'all think I'm going to let y'all the three of you sit up there talk about
I thought we were supposed to leave our teams out.
No, I said try to be unbiased. But if you want, Mike, listen, first off, if you want to talk about your Cowboys, y'all didn't do much in the draft. All that says to me is thank you, Dallas, for giving us the NFC East title and moving on to the playoffs. Okay. With that being said, first off, let me explain something to y'all. We had 3 picks, okay, originally. We gave up 1, we kept 2. So then what happens? We jump from 15 to 13 to get Jordan Davis, the DT out of Georgia. That's a big boy, okay? I had the honor and the privilege to be able to interview him night 1. He's a humble giant. His mom's an Eagles fan, so that just already helps. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. But then to take pick 18, and what do? We said, okay, we're going to go snatch up A.J. Brown from Tennessee. Mike Rabel was pissed, and I'm like, oh, there's going to be some smoke in the city, boy. 4 years, $101 million, 57 guaranteed for A.J. Brown? I'll take it. I'll take it all day long. What's AJ? What?
I blew up your phone when you got AJ Brown.
Oh yeah, my phone was just going off. It was ridiculous to see that. So, did we make the right moves? For once in his life, Howie Roseman did something right. For all the years that I have sat here and complained and said, you could have had Dalvin Cook, you could have had Justin Jefferson, you could have had this guy, could have had that guy, but who'd you choose and go and get? Jalen Reagor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. That's right. Yes. My thoughts are my thoughts and my thoughts and my thoughts alone. Yes, sir. That is exactly it. The only reason I'm not ranting about it is because I'm actually happy about the fact that Howie did something. You know what I'm saying? So, Mike, yeah, it's all lip service right now. But come the season, guess what? I'm waiting on you. I got a special.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
So the Cowboys did nothing. Okay, you get a left tackle.
Wait, I'm not even done, Mike. I'm not even done. We got Dean. How did Dean fall to us? Now, granted, he ain't gonna play this year, and I get that, but we got him. We have retained the services of this man, which means
he's not playing the whole year? Because I thought when they drafted, they said he could probably be back by mid-season. Like he should be back.
But you know what? He could.
Yes, to get the surgery. So the Eagles said you have to get the surgery. That was one of the incentives.
Right. So we'll see it happens. I don't expect to see him this season. If he comes back and he's able to do his thing, that just adds to the pot. So, Mike, I don't care what you want to throw in it. I don't care how you want to stir it up. The bottom line is we got it this year.
You know how Micah Parsons
previously. See, you got to throw Micah Parsons in my face like that. That's not fair, Mike. You got to stop throwing Micah Parsons in my face like that. You know how I feel about that. I'm still hurt. But my point in all this is, to sum this up, is, as I said when we talked, Jalen Hurts truly has no excuse. This is a make or break year for him. Yes, Jake, it is truly, Hurts on the clock, because the list of quarterbacks that's coming out in next year's draft, if he don't get the job done, at the very least, I'm saying second round of the playoffs, I really believe we're going to wash our hands with that brother and keep it moving.
It's going to be the same thing with Miami, too, because Tua's also on the clock because now he has top-tier wide receiver talent. These two former Alabama quarterbacks, you're on the clock.
Wait, Jake, if you say Tua's name, you got to say it Ray Lynn's way. 180-yard Tua. Just say 180-yard Tua. That's how we know.
I love it. Man, that makes me think of Chad Pennington with that water gun arm Chris Carter thought he had. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Herbert.
It is truly something to watch what Philly did this draft. I was very happy with them. Now there are some people who are saying that
Jordan Davis.
Oh yeah,
Jordan Davis.
There are some people, who said that the Patriots didn't do well. So I want to get y'all's thoughts before we transition to our last topic of the night. How do you feel the Patriots did this year in this year's draft? Raylin, I'll start with you, and then I'll go to Jake, and then finish up with Mike.
They've earned the right for the jury to be out, right? Like they always do the right things and draft the right players to fit their system, and then Hoodie somehow makes it work. Like last year, a lot of people felt they reached with Mac Jones, and then there they were in the playoffs. There they were in contention to actually win the AFC East. So that organization, it's kind of like over the years with San Antonio. You go like Pop has earned the right for you to wait and see. New England has earned the right for us to not have any opinion until we see it play out on the field, because they always get it right. Like they have veteran players who play well and we think they should pay them, and they just let them go. They draft guys, bring free agency in, and it always works. It always works. Like the only mistake they've made in the last 20 years was Cam Newton, right? Like when they went, we're going to bring this guy in and he's going to, like, you're the guy after Brady, right? And they thought it, and it just didn't work. Other than that, every move they make turns out to be right. So to me, they've earned the right for us to not judge anything they did too quickly and wait and see.
Okay. Jake, what are your thoughts?
This is exactly what the Patriots do. They don't care about the first round. They care about the latter rounds. They get guys that nobody knows about. You know, they did it with Wise. They've done it with Lawrence Ski. I mean, you know, Dante Hightower was a blessing in disguise, it turned out to be. But, I mean, look at their draft. I mean, they did an excellent job. They went and got that Jack Jones. I remember watching him during those Pac-12 games. I mean, he had 19 pass deflections and 6 interceptions. I mean, this kid is the real deal. They needed somebody to come in because, you know, they're trying to find a guy that can replace J.C. Jackson, who is now with the Los Angeles Chargers. And then they also know that their run game is a question mark right now. So what do? They go out and they find these guys out of nowhere. South Dakota State, Pierre Strong. Now, I get the chance to cover Western Illinois football, and I got to look at some of the stats for Pierre Strong when he played against them. This guy is a freak. 40 touchdowns, 4,527 yards. And also he can get it done in the on the pass as well. And then you go out and you get defensive tackle Sam Roberts from Northwest Missouri State that had 18 sacks at that point. This is exactly what Bill Belichick does. He finds guys that nobody talks about at all. No hype machine allowed. And all he cares about is do your job. And he did. We didn't know about J.C. Jackson. We didn't know about these kind of guys like Wise and Gee and all this kind of stuff, and bringing back Kyle Van Noy more times than ever, because he can get the best out of every player that puts on a Patriot uniform. So until further notice, I know the Jets had a great draft right now, but the Patriots and the Bills, those are the two teams right now that you have to get the benefit of the doubt to.
Hey, Jake,
Fair enough.
Kind of like that quarterback they got in the 6th round some years ago, right?
There you go. Yeah,
Mike, go ahead, man. Give me your thoughts on it. Then we're going to take a quick 10-second and move on.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, Jack Jones, absolutely. But Eric, the guy that I can't believe that Jake didn't mention was Cole Strange out of Chattanooga. Because I don't know if you heard the sound of Sean McVay. They play that. I heard that on some radio, like laughing, like, oh man, we thought we could get him in the 3rd or 4th round. He mauled some people, Eric, in a game earlier this season that I had interest in when, you know, that Ohio State team was playing Tulsa. Dude, he mauled some of that defensive line. And I'm like, man, I know they're up for this game because it's Ohio State, but I mean, why aren't they pushing their offensive line around? So look, that game alone in this kid's film, I mean, he's like 6'5", and I think like 307 or some ridiculous 6'5", 310. So like, and like Raylan said, I mean, as much as it pains me, as you know, like I got to give him the benefit of the doubt because, I know he's got picked on for not drafting good receivers, for not drafting good wide receivers, but he has not gotten picked on for offensive linemen, obviously defense and stuff like that. He usually hasn't missed, and not that guys have maybe become superstars, but they play very well, obviously, in his system. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you have to not you. I have to just say, yeah, it's always, they've definitely earned the whole wait and see. But yeah, I mean, to get an offensive lineman, like I said, out of Chattanooga, it warms my heart, Eric, because I got to throw it back to you this way and razz you a little bit. It reminds me of a guy out of Emporia State. Yep, Larry Allen. Yep, that's right, baby. Anyway, Bill Belichick deserves the benefit of the doubt.
All right, I was going to take a 10-second break, but I need more time away from Mike for a minute. So we're going to show love to DB&A, one of the people where you can watch our show on Roku, DB&A Television, Sideline Sports Network, and the Sports Arena. We'll be back in a moment.
If you have a business, company, or product, and you want to reach the right audience, contact DB&A Television. DB&A TV reaches over 100,000 viewers a month and has advertising plans for all budgets. You can see your ads running on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, On Demand, and dozens of other top platforms for only $1 a day. Call our advertising sales department between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, at 484-695-5187. That's 484-695-5187. Make the call and then watch the results. It pays to advertise on the DB&A Television Network.
Welcome back into the Sports Arena. How the hell did I get down here? Mike, get down here.
Touch anything, man.
How did I get down here?
You're running the ones and twos.
Whatever, man.
Wow.
I keep you where you belong, on the bottom. Man, if I could do 3 and 1, I'd keep you on down there, man. Anyhow, back with the Sports Arena. You made Eric Wilson alongside Ray Lynn, sports reporter without pay. Mike Cartenuto, I believe in the Pac-12, and our special guest in the building with us. There he is. Let me get him one more time up here so you can see it right there. WGEM Sports Weekend anchor Jake Rongholt, true member of the family. So our last topic of the night, and I wanted to have this conversation with y'all. Malik Willis, this man was at one point highly touted to be drafted within the first top 10, if you will. He didn't go till the 3rd round, and he went to Tennessee. Now, I thought he was going to go in the 2nd round to Tennessee with the 34th or 35th pick, whichever one they had, but he dropped all the way to the 3rd round. Can y'all help a brother out? Like, what do we know, or what don't we know, or what can we assimilate that happened? Because for all the talk that was, this young man has all the traits and he's a game changer. 3rd round? And I'm confused. And I have several thoughts, some of which I may bring to the table tonight, some I may not. But in your opinion, Mike Cartenuto, what do you think was the reason he dropped to the 3rd round?
Well, I mean, top 10, I think, yeah, they talked about that, maybe somebody trading up. And then I know Pittsburgh obviously was a team. They did take a quarterback. They took Pickett at 20, but like, it's kind of what Ray Lynn said, and we kind of touched on it when we were breaking down the first 10 picks. Like, we heard all from the combine until the draft about how this is a weak quarterback class. This is a weak quarterback class. Yeah, there's talent. Pick Malik Willis, raw talent. He's still a project. Pickett's hands are too small. You know, Desmond Ridder, who I really liked, since this and that, they all said that it's a bad quarterback class, and it was deep in receivers and deep in defensive linemen. So to me, you're right, Eric. I mean, I was with you, because every time we hear that too, like I always say, it's liar's poker. So I'm like, somebody's going to come up and get Malik Willis. Like, I just can see it happening. The kid's arm strength is there, but it goes to that. I guess it goes to that balance. Like, now everybody feels like you draft a guy in the 1st round, you better play him. But to me, you might as well sit him if you can and develop him. And for him to go to Tennessee, that's a good spot for him because he's probably not going to start. And by everything, yeah, I like his talent, but is he reading NFL defenses? Is he going to be able to do it sitting for a year? Won't be a bad thing. So to me, it's just crazy. Even though it's about the team, it's always easier to sell to the fans. Well, they drafted you in the 3rd round, so you can, if he sits for a year, it's fine. But if Tannehill struggles, I know that's kind of been a popular thing the last few days since Tannehill's comments, Eric. If he struggles, they're going to be clamoring to get this kid in. And again, they can run the ball, so that'll definitely help them. But teams are going to obviously dare him to throw and read defenses. So it is shocking because you're right. I thought since he didn't go in the 1st round and Pickett did, nobody traded back into like the 30s or the late 20s and into even the last pick, 32nd pick. I'm like, okay, he's going to go in the 2nd round tomorrow. I thought it might be Atlanta, but Tennessee got him. So I think it's just because these GMs and they do the things, but then once they start hearing everything else too, and they're looking at it, they just break the film down more and say he's not good enough. I think Wills is going to be phenomenal, just like I think Desmond Ridder is too. But sitting for a year is probably going to help both of them.
So have we gone back to that, Jake? Have we gone back to the days where a rookie quarterback does now have to sit? Because for so many years, we plug and play. It's like if you are drafted in the 1st round, to Mike's point, boom, you're in the game. You have to figure it out, whether you know the system or don't know the system. You're given this much of a window, and then it's showtime. Have we gone back to now rookie quarterbacks actually learning and making a true transition from college to the NFL?
I think so, because the fact is right now that everybody did talk about how this was a weak quarterback class. But I mean, I'll give you a great example. Trevor Lawrence goes to Jacksonville. He has a disaster of a season because they gave him nothing to work with here. Now, Malik Willis is given a dream situation. He's with Mike Vrabel. He's with John Robinson. And, they got a very good, put together franchise like the Tennessee Titans. But it's going to take time. If you take a look at this kid's stats, he had a bunch of games where he threw 2 or 3 interceptions at a time. It was against Middle Tennessee State. That was where, Eddie George is now as head coach. They played against Louisiana Monroe. He struggled there. 27 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. The kid has talent, but it's raw. And the fact is, I could not believe the advice this kid was getting because he was invited to the green room. He was supposed to be a 1st-round draft pick. And he doesn't get in the 1st, he doesn't get in the 2nd, and gets to the 3rd round to the point where he's at a Las Vegas hotel, and then he finally gets that opportunity. Now he's going to have that chip on his shoulder, and that's what we need to understand. Like, some of these quarterbacks are not these, day one you're going in here kind of talent. They're just not. Sam Howell, he regressed after his grand year as a sophomore because he had 38 touchdowns in that year, and then he drops down to 31, then he drops down to 24. If you regress off a successful campaign like Sam Howell right now, that's a problem. Now, Malik Willis is going to have this opportunity. He's going to have this chance, but we have to have patience. Okay, not everybody comes in day one and does things. Remind yourself, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that because I'm a Packers fan, but he's a 4-time MVP. And how many years did he wait with Favre? 3 years. It does not it's not an issue if you have to wait a couple of years. I know we have a lot of fans nowadays that say, look, I can't trust this quarterback anymore. I need somebody. Ryan Tannehill is a solid quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. He gets to the playoffs. Does he get to the Super Bowl? No, he doesn't. But he's been doing this since he was at Miami. So just give the kid some time. Let him breathe. Let him carry a clipboard. And if Ryan Tannehill says that it's not my job to take care of this kid, not everybody's going to be Alex Smith. Majority people are going to be Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Brett Favre. These are guys that said, if this kid wants to be, he has to come up and ask me questions. I'm not going to go to him and mentor him. So that's what Malik Willis has to do. Well, Ryan Tannehill's looking at him going, that's my competition. But if Malik has a question for him, then do that. But understand this. Instead of Ryan Tannehill getting ridiculous inane questions like, is this your competition? No, it's not. This is my job. And I'm going to continue to show that this is my job right now. Malik Willis has to earn it. Every quarterback that was drafted this year has to earn it because you're a project.
All right, Ray Lynn, I'm gonna go to you, sir.
Yeah, so I have a 3-part answer, and I'll try and make all 3 parts very brief. Part 1, in response to your question, Eric, of is it time for, are we reaching the era or the time frame of quarterbacks having to sit and learn? I don't think that's accurate. I think it's more so of it's what your talent warrants. If we look just over the past 3-4 years, Mahomes set for 1 year, his second year starting, he's an MVP. Kyler Murray starting from day one, Joe Burrow starting from day one, Tua starting from day one. He was kind of in and out the lineup. Herbert. Like a lot of quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, I said that about Tua. What makes his fans criticize him even more is how fast and like Herbert and Burrow ascended to being very good very fast, right? So if you're talented from day one, they'll throw you out there and let you play, right? Some people are going to have it rough like Trevor Lawrence, but we look, Peyton Manning's rookie year was just the same. He was atrocious, right? Eventually your talent will shine through, right? So the second part as to two parts about Malik Willis dropping as far as he did. This always happens to somebody on draft day where it's like they keep showing the camera on their face. He talked about Aaron Rodgers sitting for 3 years. We ain't talk about him sitting in the green room for the whole day when they thought he was going top 5.
Yeah.
Right. So, but when you look, if you look at the landscape of the NFL, right, we were just talking about all the young, talented quarterbacks with the moves that were made in the AFC, right? Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Burrow, Hurd, David Carr. Now Russell Wilson's over there. Then on the NFC side, you got the veterans, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray's looking like a veteran. Like, it's so many teams with good quarterbacks. And then the teams that you think may need one have young guys that they still may believe in. You have Justin Fields in Chicago. You have Trey Lance in San Francisco. You have not being funny, Eric, but your guy's name is escaping me right now. Jalen Hurts, right? So if you look around the NFL, you're looking at the draft, maybe like 6 teams need a quarterback, right? So then or do they want to take a gamble on a guy that they don't think is a lock? And that's why this guy drops to the 3rd round. Now, the elephant in the room, and I think this is what Eric is getting at, and I don't think this is why he dropped in the draft, but my issue is comments like these, right? His playbook was so light, and they weren't sure how quickly he couldn't pick up an NFL playbook. We only hear comments like that about guys who look like Malik Willis.
Yep.
Every single year in the NFL draft, going back to Lamar Jackson, going back to Michael Vick, going back to Cam Newton. Every black quarterback that's athletic and that can run and does RPO, they go, he didn't have a playbook, and we don't know. Like, we really have to stop judging African-American quarterbacks like they don't have the intellect to play this position when guys like Russell Wilson have showed you they can, when guys like Patrick Mahomes have showed you they can, when Lamar Jackson is an MVP, when Kyler Murray is playing lights out. We have to stop doing this. We have to stop saying, oh, can black quarterbacks pick up a playbook? Like, because you don't hear that. You don't hear that about other quarterbacks.
During the Ringer NFL show, and I was like, you guys are so completely out of balance at this point. I don't understand why it has to be this issue. I mean, he's a very good talent. He's a very good talent. But, I mean, look at the stats. He's going to be a great quarterback if he just applies himself and not listen to the negativity and the hate out there that this kid continuously gets unfairly, which I don't understand. I do not understand why everybody is like using this guy as the target. Hit him. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
And again, it typically is. I'm talking about the type of criticism, right? Hey, shout out to Rob, sir. It wasn't at you. You were simply making a comment as to what you have heard in the media. It wasn't at you, sir. I'm talking about the narrative that is constantly thrown at black quarterbacks, right? Go read what they said about Lamar Jackson.
Horrible.
Like,
Bill Polian.
He should change positions, right?
Bill Polian, like they're saying Lamar Jackson should change positions. But here's the thing, too, Raylan. With Lamar Jackson, though, and Eric can tell you this because I was on this kid's bandwagon. The year he won the Heisman, he was good. His next year, and even though I can't stand Bobby Petrino, but you look at Lamar Jackson's numbers, they were saying, oh, is he accurate? The year after he won the Heisman, he was even more accurate. So that wasn't about running. And I get it. I'm not just trying to single out because you're right. We do hear that all the time, and it's ridiculous. But with Lamar Jackson, it started to come down to his accuracy. Then he didn't have an agent. His mom was kind of like working things behind, but he's doing his own thing. He's negotiating his own thing. But with Malik Willis, yeah, I mean, everybody talks about light playbooks, but you can say that pretty much almost about every college player.
Exactly, Mike. So answer this question for me.
When they did the Gruden's quarterback camp, who was the quarterback that could not answer any of Gruden's questions? Who was that guy again? Was that Johnny Manziel? I'm trying to remember here.
Right. Hey, Mike, let me ask you this question, or to the entire panel, but it's in direct response to what Mike just said. Going back to the comments that I made, right? When we hear things like, oh, will he be able to understand the playbook? Will he be able to make the right reads? Can you tell me one American-born white quarterback that we've ever heard that about?
Don't worry, I'll wait.
I haven't heard.
I'm talking about those specific.
How bad he was.
Hey, Mike, I'm talking about those specific criticisms and question marks. The last guy I can recall that kind of ran an RPO in college, he was a running quarterback, and they was like, can he play quarterback in the league? And this wasn't even about can he read the playbook. This was, does he have the talent? And he wound up deciding not to play. And that was Eric Crouch. I want you to think of how long ago that was, right? That's the last guy I can recall that was like, wanted to play quarterback. Tebow as well, right? But, and again, that was about talent. It was never about his intellect. And that's my issue, is that when it comes to African-American quarterbacks, they always question the intellect. Can he read a playbook? Will he be able to make the right? It's never about talent. It's never about talent.
But to Jake's point too, I mean, Johnny Manziel did get that because of everything he did at A&M, and
nobody questioned his intellect. They questioned his dedication to the game. They questioned his dedication to the game. The off-field
after the Gruden piece, right? But after the Gruden piece, because I remember that when after the whole Gruden thing, when he couldn't answer that stuff and all that started going out.
You mean after he gave people a reason to believe that he couldn't?
Oh, well, I thought he was terrible. Well, right. I get what you're – I don't disagree with you. I'm saying I thought he wasn't even that good at A&M. That's why I'm glad he didn't end up with a star in his helmet.
Yeah,
but and the fact is, too, I think Ray is dead on about this, because if you watch the game film of Malik Willis, the guy has all the intangibles. He has all the tools. I mean, I love when I love the quick snap. That's my favorite thing about his game, is that once that ball is snapped, he rolls out to the right. He knows already, I have to make a play. I have to do something. So either I got to run this ball, or I got to throw it right down the sideline to my receiver or to my tight end or something. This guy has football knowledge. He just needs to be
I 100% agree
into
with
a professional franchise like the Titans.
Here's the problem with all college quarterbacks that run any type of that. And again, I get and I agree with, and believe me, we've had a discussion. I get it. It's ridiculous, because when Lamar Jackson just kept on slipping, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is ridiculous. But you could say that with all college quarterbacks. And it goes back to this. Eric knows I hate this because I get so sick and tired of, they played at a bottom tier, FBS school. So because he played at Liberty, even though he reads good, they're like, oh, who's he playing against? It's always some other excuse. And again, I get it, because Eric knows, look, Raylan, I'll say it this way. My disdain for Ohio State, like, the only thing greater is my love for my alma mater, ASU. Eric knows how much I hate Ohio State. Like, every time Penn State beats him, I think he shuts his phone off because of the happy text messages I'm sending him, and I'm drinking and I'm happy. Like, I can't stand half Ohio State quarterbacks because I think they're freaking worthless. Receivers, defenders, sure. But when you hear about that, when I hear that part, I say that about every college quarterback, because A, how long do you have with them? B, like, if you have an extensive playbook, you can do one of two ways. Bobby Petrino did it with Lamar Jackson. We're going to run a pro-style offense. So that's about Lamar Jackson. Are saying he's too fast to play quarterback, which is ridiculous. But he also got more accurate every single year. If you look at his percentages and his completion and just everything, Lamar Jackson had it. Do I think Malik Willis is there? But, Jake, my point to you is he's getting crushed because he played at Liberty. So
you're right. But he phrases the coach
he played at a small school. Like,
Eric,
he
who
played
did y'all
at
move
Auburn
up?
his freshman and sophomore year, correct?
Hey,
What's
Eric,
that?
You go ahead.
who did y'all move up and take second in the draft in 2016?
Say again,
Carson Wentz.
in where?
What school did he play for?
North Dakota
State.
I was just checking. I didn't know.
Right.
I don't know much.
But that's
again, Raylan, to your point, and where you and I are on the same page, he looks like Jake. He don't look like me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm speaking to my point.
And that's what I'm getting at. My problem, and y'all know me, I don't have problem. I have obstacles. But my problem is the consistent, stigma that is the mental capacity of a black quarterback, black quarterback. Okay. That is the problem that I have seen. And for a young man to be highly touted and be said by people who do this for a living, they scout these players in order to provide accuracy to the 32 teams in the NFL, saying, this is a guy you want on draft night. This is a guy who you need to look at. And here are the reasons why. If Malik Willis, Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham. I mean, the list goes on and on, with the exception of McNabb, because McNabb was second and Philly hated him until he put you in 4 NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl. It was always, you have the talent, you don't have the mental capacity. And that to me is a huge problem. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, Bam, we're in overtime here tonight because we're going to keep this conversation going. I am just of the mindset that even in the culture that we are living in today in 2022, this is something that has been continuous since jump. And it just irritates me to no end to know that you're going to give this man this high praise. You are going to put him in a position to where he, his family, and others, he has done all the work. Okay? He's gone out and showed you that even with an offensive line that could barely protect him, he still managed to get you the victory. You have a list. You have a criteria of what you're looking for in that particular position. And he gives you all that, but then you still decide to not draft him. So let me ask you this question then. If you tell me, like, for example, and I'll go to Jake. Jake, you're a WGEM TV Sports right now, okay?
Yes.
They have seen your reel. They love you. We love you. We know what you're capable of. But if Ray Lynn is on the same level as you, and Ray Lynn goes and gets that and applies for that position and doesn't get the job, and we look at you and Ray Lynn, and from top to bottom, it is exactly the same. You both have put in the work on the high school level, on the college level, breaking interviews, journalistic, the whole 9 yards. So you two are straight up and down, even keel. But you, sir, get the job over him. Not saying that you're more or less qualified, but you do. That I have to take a step back and say, why? Why? Was Ray Lynn just a Rooney Rule? He was a check box. You know what I'm saying? That's what bothers me about this. This young man has done everything that he was supposed to do, but the goalpost is put back 5 more yards. And no one can give me a valid reason as to what his detriments were. And that's where I'm like, this is a huge problem. Okay? Tennessee, you had the opportunity to take him in the 2nd round, but you didn't. There are other teams. Okay, to the 6 teams that Ray Lynn is saying that maybe needed a quarterback this season, they could have taken Malik Willis. Well, why didn't they? And that's my point. It's these conversations that I enjoy having more than anything, because it's like, let's get to the nitty gritty. Because you can't tell me, no one can sit here and tell me, no one in the comments can tell me why Malik Willis, a man who has showed up, done everything that was asked of him, went in the 3rd round.
Oh, and he accounted for the most touchdowns in the FBS. But Eric, it goes back to the networks that covered it and all the talking heads, like Raylan's saying in a way. We heard for 2 months this is the weakest quarterback class. Like teams aren't going to trade up, and they put all the quarterbacks in there. They listed the top 6. I mean, yeah, we saw Pickett, we saw Willis, we saw Ritter, and so, like he's saying, Hal at North Carolina, when you lose the running game that Hal lost, of course you're going to take a hit. But
that's a good point, Mike.
But I'm with you, Eric. What you're saying is right. But when you have the big networks and these people that have sources, I'm still shocked in a way that the Steelers did take a quarterback in the 1st round, because I thought this was going to be the year, just because of these people have more sources than I do. I'm not ashamed to admit it. That's fine. They played the game. They know people in front offices. So when you're looking at it from a talent standpoint, you're like, okay, they can play. But all I heard since the freaking combine, they're all projects. They're all projects. They're all projects. Did we hear that about Trevor Lawrence? No.
Generational talent.
All those quarterbacks in that draft, you can go back. So I 100% agree with you guys. I'm just saying, when you hear that for 2.5 months, like these quarterbacks, and look, I'll even single out Marcus Spears. Like I hate to throw shade on guys. It's their moment, but none of these quarterbacks should go in the 1st round. And he wasn't the only one that said that.
All right. Raylan, give me 10 seconds. I'll be back and I'll let you go ahead. Give me 10 seconds. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
So to speak to Michael Caratenuto's point of how the media, ESPN, Fox Sports, whoever covered this kid and said the negative things that they said about him, the same kind of things they said about Lamar Jackson. This is a public service announcement to you, to the media. You have to stop. You have to get over yourselves. We are past the notion that young black quarterbacks cannot play this position at the highest level. We are past that. Look at the playoffs. Look at just last year alone. We have a Patrick Mahomes. We have a Russell Wilson. Teddy Bridgewater was a starting quarterback. We have Dak Prescott. We have Kyler Murray. We have Deshaun Watson. We have Lamar. We have to get over this idea that African Americans do not have the intellect or the smarts, because it's disrespectful at this point, right? To assume that we don't have the brain power to play the position. We've never heard us, we've never questioned the arm talent. We've never questioned the speed. We've never questioned, can they throw the deep ball to accuracy? It's always, can they learn the playbook? Can they make the right reads? So the idea that you all can continuously question our intellect is downright embarrassing, and it's disrespectful, and at some point it got to stop. I'm off my soapbox.
No, I agree. It's a ridiculous statement, because yes, look, and from what we're saying, I think the stigma has lessened because of all the quarterbacks you just mentioned. Like, you can't say like, oh, he should be, and you're right with the whole, Eric Crouch saying Tim Tebow, they should play different positions, and Lamar Jackson should be a receiver, this and that, yada yada yada. Like, no, it's ridiculous to me, because you're right. If there's a quarterback if they can play, but to me, but Raylan, on top of that, and if they had those opinions, then yes. I mean, but it was the whole class. It was like all these quarterbacks in this class who's ever eligible. Like, it's not a good class. It's not a deep. Well, overall, it's not a deep class. The few they mentioned up top, they're like, okay, these guys can all play. And yes, again,
Mike, real quick, before you go on a rant, I want to make sure you understand the point I'm making, though, right? Because I don't want you to argue a point that I'm not making, or refute or carry on a point that I'm not making. My issue is not with him not going in the top 2 rounds. I don't care where he got drafted. I don't care that it was a weak class. My issue is the comment that was put in the comments. And again, shout out to Rob. He was just saying what's being said. But we see this every year, every single year. That's always the criticism of black quarterbacks, is the intellectual part. That is my beef. That is what my rant was about. It's not about Ritter not being good and Pickett not being good. It ain't about none of that. It's about the criticism of black quarterbacks. It's always the same thing. It's always, are they smart enough? And that's fucking disrespectful at some point.
No,
that's my point.
Right. I'm not saying, obviously, but
I heard about Desmond Ritter, what just made me sick. I mean, all the kid did was
we could
win.
spend all night having this conversation.
Yeah.
But I know time is of the essence. And like I said, we did go into overtime tonight. And I should have put the disclaimer out with the smoking section. But again, I just do that as a CYA. So when I cut and edit this portion of the show will be.
This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
I got something real heavy to lay on you, man.
Now that's what I need.
Please feel free to join us in the smoking section, because we with all the smoke.
For God's sake, strap yourselves down.
My bad, man.
That's just a CYA. No, don't apologize. Because you know what? Yeah. If I'd have done that, I would have said the exact same thing, but I probably would have said it a lot worse than you. Trust me. It's a situation that when I have those conversations with people, I need them to understand that the anger that is coming out of my voice, that the how do I put this in it? Well, I already gave the disclaimer, so let me just say what I want to say. The fact that this brother got screwed over yet again is complete bullshit. And for me, it's just ridiculous that each and every time we see a prominent black young man who does have the intellect and does have the skill set and does have the tenacity and the grit and the hustle and the drive, and his story is something that needs to be elevated and respected and talked about, you still put him on the back burner. I am tired of the goal line being pushed back 5 to 10 more yards for a black and brown individual. And that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to get out of here tonight. Mike Caratenuto, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast. Ray Lynn, Sports Reporters Out Pay. Hey, 48 hours, bro. 48 hours.
Hey, it's on. It's on, man. I'm excited. I am excited.
You and I will be in Chicago covering the Chicago Sky as they take on the LA Sparks. And again, my brother, it is so good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, WGEM Sports weekend anchor, our very own Jake Rongholt, doing such great things up there in the Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, tri-state area. Man, I wish you could be in Chicago Friday, brother. I would love to see you for a moment just to say what's up to you and Stephanie. But give our love to her. Keep doing your thing. We are continually watching you. For everybody at the Sports Arena, your man Eric Wilson. Everybody stay blessed, and we'll holler at you. Peace.